Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible. Please confirm in chat, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, you are audible.
Uh, So, welcome to our first webinar. This webinar is organized by Antahkarana Group. Antahkarana Group is a non-profit group created to spread awareness about mental health in our society. As students, we recognize the taboo around the mental health issues among people of all groups and the need for there to be awareness, knowledge, and education about these issues. With this in mind, the Antahkarana Group was created. So this is the first webinar that we are hosting in this lockdown period, the theme of which is the changing dynamics of relationship with others and self. We are joined today by very esteemed speakers. We have Prakriti Pandia and Manvi Sharma here. I'll be introducing them one by one. Prakriti Pandia is a family and development counseling psychologist. She has done masters in clinical psychology from Ambedkar University in Delhi. She has a diploma in counseling and family therapy. She earned her certification from the University of Manchester for conducting psychometric tests. She also has a certification in data protection and research integrity. She is currently working as a research associate at Sangat and consultant at the Shelter Purgato India Charitable Trust, counseling psychologist at Dwarka Psychiatric Clinic. She is currently working on a mental health and legal profession project with Niti Manthan in the capacity of a project lead. She has worked as a counselor at Salam Balak Trust and project coordinator at Mental Health Foundation. Prakriti, we welcome you to the webinar. Thank you very much from Jai.
Thank you, Shubham, and I am looking forward to talk to you all.
We are also joined by Manvi Sharma today, one of the second speaker. Manvi is a counseling psychologist with a master's degree in applied psychology from University of Delhi. Manvi has been dedicatedly working with adolescents and adults in her practice and at highly reputed schools like the Heritage School and Indus International School. She has intrinsically motivated individual who believes in the power of narratives, the way individuals define and describe their life stories. She believes in the power of books and has grown up reading Harry Potter. Her life motto is our choices that tell us who we really are, far more than our abilities. She is currently working as a mental health counselor at Indus International School and is involved in projects at Reboot Wellness Private Limited as a consultant psychologist and practicing as a freelance psychologist. Manvi is certified happiness coach by Berkeley, the Wellbeing Institute, trained in eye movement desensitization therapy, and currently narrative therapist training. She is passionate in making mental health accessible and individuals exploring and rediscovering them to improve their relationship with self and others. So we are beginning with the webinar now. Now we recently circulated a form where we collected queries from people asking about the issues that they are facing during the lockdown period. Many queries are around anxiety and stress. Could you address this question for the audience?
Yes, sure. Thank you for the question, Shubham. So, anxiety is basically your body's response to stress. It is a feeling of fear or apprehension about what is about to come, like the uncertainty, what is about to come, what you might face, right? For example, when you have your first day of school, first day of job, or any you are speaking public speaking, for example, right now. So it is common to face anxiety at this point, right? And some of the symptoms of anxiety are intense and excessive and persistent worrying, the feeling of uneasiness, fear about everyday situation, that what will happen, what is about to come, fast heart rate, sweating, and feeling tired may also happen. So, and but there are ways you can identify, you can work through anxiety. So I will like to tell you like three ways you can work through it. First is identify anxiety inducing thoughts. What is causing anxiety for you? Like I have three, four examples, some questions that you can ask yourself. What am I worried about? What worries me? Okay. How does this thought makes me feel? How is this thought which I'm facing right now is making me feel? What am I expecting from this situation? Right? what do I really want to happen? Because anxiety also happens when we want something to happen, but things are not going the way we want them to go, and that induces anxiety. So basically, anxiety is anything you don't know, anxiety of unknown or the uncertain. And then we can move to then examine the evidence. For example, right now, I as a person, I am feeling, might be feeling anxious that I might catch coronavirus, right? But then, so I identified this thought coronavirus is causing me anxiety, the thought of catching it. Then I go to the examine the evidence. Okay. So, what are the chances of this happening? 0 to 10, 0 to 100. So, the chances of me catching coronavirus is around 10 to 20% because I'm not going out of home. Like, the chances are very low. I'm in the section, I'm young, so the chances of me getting coronavirus and not recovering from it is very low. So, this actually, like, the anxiety, the amount of anxiety I'm feeling is this much, but the evidence just shows that I have to be worried about this much, right? So it narrows down my scope of worrying. Then assess the outcome. So what if this happens? Like, what if, for example, I go to my job and I don't have a good day? What is the worst that can happen? Be prepared for the worst if you're so worried, because if you think that you know what can happen and what the outcome is and you're prepared for that, then the anxiety should not worry you that much. So identify anxiety inducing thoughts. Second, examine the evidence. Third, assess the outcome. And over to Manvi if she wants to add something.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
I think, as rightly said by Prakriti, that this thought process, it really helps. And since, as practicing psychologists, we've been coming across people who have been contacting us regarding feeling anxious and feeling too stressed out regarding the current situation. And of course, there has been a complete paradigm shift from face-to-face interaction to a complete offline to a complete online mode like we are
Yes.
having right now. But I think the mere idea behind this is that social distancing does not equate to emotional distancing, and we are all trying to establish a platform where even we as unknown people to each other are there to support each other as a wider community. So I'll start off with a very nice point that Prakriti initiated her explanation of anxiety with the first time. So I prefer to call them the bewildering first times. Like, honestly, I'm very, like, this time I'm doing it at my place. Usually I'm taking, like, borrowing internet from other people. So one anxiety that I have, so to say, right now is that I really just hope that my internet doesn't go off. So that's one anxiety that, so it's a, I'm probably just dropping the ball here to share that that's one anxiety that I'm going through. And I'm sure a lot of us would be having so many things in our mind, maybe if the vegetable vendor is there, or we would be, or the uh, milk would be getting delivered tomorrow or not. These are basic essentials. So I prefer calling them bewildering first times. And definitely, like, whenever we join, a very simple example can be whenever we are joining a place. Let's just say you join an organization with really high hopes, and you look at people around, and in the initial first week you would be like, where am I, what am I doing here? And then, eventually you might just call up your friends that, dude, you know what, I'm at this place and I'm just not liking this place, so what do I do? After a while, after a point in time, those people, they become your people. That situation becomes completely your situation. And the kind of the way we human beings are wired, of course survival of the fittest is the mantra to go to, but we eventually become okay with it as long as we start accepting the situation. And there is no hurry in accepting it just right away, because I'm sure with the second lockdown period, the honeymoon phase, so to say, initially we were all very happy that we're going to have a time of our lives, that we'll get time to pursue our hobbies or look for new things. But now we are all turning towards a burnout, and I think that's one of the reasons why we are having this webinar. So I was reading something, and I came across a very interesting term. It's called worry virus. So coronavirus is definitely there physically. We are all very scared of it, and like Prakriti said, that when we try to, it really helps a lot. And rather, I was taking down points because I was having a conversation just 15 minutes back with my friend regarding coronavirus. So I am right now stuck in Pune, and Pune is the containment zone. So I thank you, Prakriti. It's really going to help me whenever we all are having conversation around this. Secondly, so the worry virus, even though once we are going to get back to our lives, I won't say normal life because we would be redefining normalcy again, since the things may not remain the same as they were. But the worry virus is something which might stay with us. So throughout the day, it's very important to take essential things like worry breaks, or maybe breaks wherein you actually just don't do anything. So one thing which I personally tell my clients when they when they share about their feelings or they go on with how hard it is for them is to be okay with how you're feeling, because everyone is going through the same thing. And I would be talking about it in the later half of the session about it. But yes, collective grief is the term that I would really want you to register in your mind, and I'm going to take it ahead once of course. Now I guess let Prakriti, she has some more techniques with everyone of you to be share, and I'm sure that's going to be very enriching.
Yes, you were coming to the techniques. So, Prakriti, could you
Yeah.
tell us some techniques to cope up with the anxiety in adults and children that they're facing during this lockdown period? Because obviously things have intensified for prolonged solitude and isolation that we are stuck at our homes. So, maybe something from you.
Yeah, sure. So, Manvi has rightly pointed out that there are things that we were enjoying at when we got to know that okay, we are in lockdown for some period and we can enjoy this time. And this is one of the thoughts I would like people, all of you, to think about. Like, is this, like, as a kid, I always wondered that what if my exam just get postponed and I get a month to just work on myself. Even in college, I used to think that way. So this is somewhat our wish to come true, but not fully. So how can we utilize this time that we have? So next time we should be very thoughtful about what you are wishing for. Not wish for this for sure. So think about that. That this is something that you wish for, and also this point. See, this we are feeling anxious. So as a person, if anxiety is something that I don't feel usually, it will not happen to me suddenly as well. If you are feeling that you have a self esteem issue, or you are facing a lot of problem in communication, these are issues that were there with you before this as well. But at this point, anxiety actually amplifies what you're facing. So these issues have been amplified for you, and now since you have all the time in the world with yourself, so amplification is becoming like quite in your face. It's in your face that you have to deal with these things. So I have some techniques which can help adults to deal with this. First is grounding technique. So basically what grounding technique helps you with, it helps you bring back, so anxiety is about future, what might come, what might happen with you. So it is best that you come back to the present. So grounding technique helps you come back to the present, right? So what you can do in grounding technique, you can, so when you're feeling very anxious, you can try to find, like for example, find 5 things in your room of blue color. Try to figure out like, are where are 5 things which are of blue color. 5 things that you can smell, because these things are bringing you back to the present, that okay, in present this is going on. 5 things that you can hear, like try to concentrate. You will hear some birds chirping right now, some noise of traffic, or some noise of your family members. So try to come back to the reality, come back to the present of here and now. Try to touch 5 things, feel them, like absorb them. How does it feel to be in the present? Because being in the present will help you not focus on the future, right? That is first technique. Second is breathing exercises. So these are relaxation techniques. So why? So in anxiety is a response to from our body to stress, right? Our body is feeling stressed. So uh, when our ancestors used to have this anxiety or fear problem, they used to have it because there was actually a trigger. Some polar bear was chasing them. But right now we don't have that kind of situation. But our amygdala, our brain, is not able to figure out that why is it happening. And for it, it's like death situation, fight or flight situation. So you need to tell your body that okay, I am fine, I am breathing fine. Because if you're breathing in a fine manner and your breathe is not very like very low and steep, then your body knows that okay, so I am breathing finely, so there's probably nothing wrong with me, right? So breathe, concentrate on your breathing, let yourself know that you are alive, you are safe, and that is important for your body. Third technique is journaling. So one of my patients has been, I don't like calling them patient because it just categorizes them to a small nuance of anxiety or a disorder, but as a person, so I will refer to person. So one of my person that I talk to, she is she feels like she gets anxiety attacks, she feels very anxious. So she has been trying this technique that I shared with her, journaling. And I know she shared that what should I write about, I don't know where to start from. This is nothing that you have to show in a competition. This is for yourself, right? So just start with it. 1 2 3 go. Because for people who are feeling anxious, it is difficult, I know it is difficult to not to pin down your thoughts, to understand what is actually causing anxiety. So when you journal, when you write it down, you're able to figure out what is causing anxiety. And once you're able to figure out what is causing anxiety, what is your trigger point, then you can work with it. Unless you know what is causing you something, then how do you work with it, right? So then we come to sensory calming. The sensory calming is basically calming your senses. So for me, personally, for me, music helps when it comes to sensory calming. Sometimes touch, for example, like I just get some hot water and put my legs in it. That helps me. So calm your senses. Tell them that it is okay, everything is fine. Calm them down. For some people, music really helps. So, for example, some people who are working from home or students who are studying, you can have really like sweet noise of river flowing or rain. That really like connects you with the nature and calms your senses down, right? And then the old good thing that we all of us used to do as kids and we might have forgotten them, art. Take out your painting brushes, and if you don't have them, just get you some haldi, mix water and do something. Just take a paper and do something. That's because art is unknown, you don't know what is art, you just enjoy it. So it helps you enjoy the unknown, so do that, right? So this is for adults. And for children, I will for techniques for children. So basically children actually na, they look up to adults, and children are very adaptive. Let me tell you, children are better than us in this. If we are good role models to them, if we are good role models, they will adapt to anything. So just be a good role model. If you are calm, your child will be able to sense the vibe. They might not be able to talk to you and do something, but they are able to sense the vibe that you're giving off. So be calm. Talk to them. Explain it to them that this is happening and this is, and ask them how can we deal with it. So they might have really good ideas. So art therapy is an idea that they will actually give it to you. That let's do this. Let's play with the mud. Let's do that. So talk to them. Ask for their help as well. Make them feel that you are there. You're listening. And see, for a long time, parents have always wanted to spend time with them. Children have wanted that. So now is your time that you can spend some time with your child. I know, see, the previous relationship that you shared with your child, that you were not able to give time or anything like that, you're not able to spend time, you're not able to connect with the child. You have the point that a time that where you can try to connect with them at this point. So try to utilize them. And honestly, children are really well equipped to do this. They are the one who are actually facing the issue. We have the issue because they are running and it is creating headache in my head. So let them be and try to talk to them, have conversation with them, spend time with them, play with them, which actually help you as well. Because when you exercise, happy hormones get released, and which is very good when you're dealing with anxiety. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you. That
All right.
lovely.
Yes. So, since Prakriti spoke about art, I think art is definitely something which even it's such a common technique which can be used by almost all the age groups. And I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking, I don't have art material. What do I do? And by a lot of people, I am one of them because I personally feel that art is something which can be used for but for some people who want to understand the nuances of art, trust me, creating a mess is something which really helps you calm down. messy, like just pick things up, throw them, dirty your hand. Even a Fevicol, if you just apply Fevicol on your hand and paste it on, then just try taking out. Oh my God, it's the best
Right.
feeling ever. I
I
know, right?
tried
You
it.
agree with me. I used to do it as a child and I keep doing it. I'm running out of Fevicol though. I'm going to talk about a very important aspect of things wherein, sometimes when we try everything and it's just that, like, anxiety is more to do with present and our future. Of course, there are so many things that are there on our mind, like in terms of the job insecurity, because everywhere either people are going on a pay cut or there's layoffs that's happening everywhere. And I personally know a couple of people who were planning to join a new place, and now everything is at a standstill. And I think it's very important that we don't stay in a utopian world, and we don't do that wishful thinking, because definitely it is collective grief that we are all going through.
Right.
Kids not being able to go play out, you not being able to probably go out, have a cup of mocha, or maybe go and reach out to your friend, give them a hug, or being away from your family. Our lives are connected through media, through online media. So everybody feeling frustrated, everybody feeling most of the people feeling sad. It is bound to feel, because that is what happens when we lose out on something or someone. So and this is something which I've really learned as a practicing therapist and somebody who has been even getting trained in different techniques, that whatever emotion that you're experiencing, until you don't name it, you don't feel it. And that has been the mantra that I even tell my clients: name it, because till the time you don't name it, you won't let yourself feel it. So if you're feeling sad, tell yourself that you're feeling sad, and it's okay, I'm feeling sad. All feelings are validated, because what we are looking for at this point in time is not perfection but connection. So
Right.
there are these little things that we can definitely work upon. So this activity is something which I did when I had some colors. So primarily our lives revolve around two circles, one of them being called a circle of concern, and the other one being called a circle of influence. And circle of concern is basically things that we are thinking about, like global pandemic, job insecurity, being fearful that if I might get corona, or my loved ones might be diagnosed with corona, what if things run out? These are the concerns that fall under the circle of concerns, that particularly pertain to things that are not in our control. My job security or insecurity is not in my control, right? Pandemic, lockdown being lifted, not lifted, is not in my control. Or let's just say my loved ones falling sick is not in my control. And that's why there's this so I was just coloring this thing. It's called circle of concern, and this is the circle of concern where we end up spending most of our lives worrying about. So this is one circle of concern, which it is very natural for us to be worried about so many things. But when we pen them down and see that, is it something that I can control? Like, can I control coronavirus? No, I can't. But I can maintain my personal hygiene. I can maintain the concept of social distancing. I can be in quarantine. And as far as the job is concerned, I may not be able, I'm not sure if my job is going to stay with me or not. But what I can do is, I can perhaps do my best. I can maybe meet my deadlines. I can come up with more ideas. And that is the circle, which is called the circle of influence. So this circle of influence involves the things that are there in your control. So it really helps that if you are able to categorize, this is a worry, this is definitely a cause of worry, we cannot rule that out, but it is something which is not really in my control. So is it worth pondering about it? Let me try shifting to the circle of influence, because that makes us more proactive. Thinking about losing a job might be one worry that all of us are facing, especially people who are the sole breadwinners of the family, or who have more dependents, or people who are living away. So of course, for survival, we need money. We cannot rule that bit out. And unfortunately, when we're not living in a developed nation where the government will be able to provide us with enough funds. The government is trying to do whatever they can with the best of their abilities too. So if we try focusing on, okay, what are the things that are there in my control? That can really help us in channelizing our anxiety, our stress into something which might lead to productivity. because of course at the end of the day we all want to be productive. And that comes to my another technique, that the worry breaks that I spoke about. And this is the idea which I got while I was having a session with a client. So this client of mine, she's a teacher. she's a she's an intrinsically motivated and very enthusiastic teacher. So whenever we have sessions, there's something that always caught my eye, that is a big whiteboard in her room. And it was so distracting that once actually I asked her that, do you mind sharing what that whiteboard is? So she told me that she writes all the plans. She's a planner through and through. So she keeps writing down the things that are there, the deadlines that she has to meet, the lesson plans that she has to submit. So that's when, I started understanding, okay, now I understand where this lack of productivity is coming from. So there was this one technique that I suggested, that since you write down everything, and she told me that I'm not able to sleep at night because after 6 o'clock I'm thinking that what do I do? I keep baking cake, but then I feel that what am I doing? Is there anything else that I need to do? And she is way ahead of her deadlines at school. So she got permanent during this time when people are losing their jobs. So there is no possibility that she's an excellent worker. So I suggested this thing to her, that okay, just try writing down the things. And this is for people who really take a toll on themselves. And we end up being really harsh on ourselves, that I'm not doing anything productive, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Just make a list of things that are there that you want to probably finish off throughout the day, and let it be. And visual effects really help. So I have got something like these sticky notes. These sticky notes are my go-to. They really help when you stick them around, and of course they're colorful and it has a heart. So you can use these things in case if you're running out of things. There are plenty of waste materials that you can use. So towards the end of the day, or whenever this rush of productivity, or the tsunami comes, that you've not done anything, what did you do throughout the day, there's still 4 more hours to go before you go to sleep, just look at the things, make a tally bar, and just tell yourself that I have done everything, and now I need to really take a worry break. That helps, because when you have proof right in front of yourself, you won't question yourself again. And that is something that has really helped a lot of people. So just try doing that. Maybe this technique can be helpful. Another technique which Prakriti just mentioned about the breathing, of course breathing is something that really helps us in being in the moment. And no matter how much we talk about mindfulness, it is something really hard to do. So mindfulness is technically, when if I'm peeling the onion, I'm just peeling the onion. If I'm drinking milk, I'm only drinking milk, I'm not thinking about anything else. So in breathing, so what we can do is that just try to relax your shoulders, try to breathe in. And I think we can just take out a minute and we can all do it live right now. So one
Yeah.
technique, when I was learning breathing, I got to know that I was breathing the wrong time all the time. So when you inhale, your stomach you need to bloat your stomach, and when you exhale, that's when you take it inside. So we can all do it together. And I'm guessing we can't see everyone, but we have full faith in everyone who that you would be doing it right now with all of us.
Yes.
So can we all just like little bit relax our shoulders and twist our necks? I'm sure Shubham would be really tired listening to so many things. And we
Yeah.
can stretch a bit.
Yeah, can do that.
Yeah, we can do that. And let's do like 3 rounds of deep breathing, inhale and exhale. Okay, so let's do it thrice and then we can move on. So let's start. Let's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And the last one, deep breathe in and exhale. All right, now over to Prakriti.
Yeah. So thank you for mentioning what Manvi mentioned about the to-do list. So having a to-do list every day for yourself, that you keep record of what you have to do and what all you can cover. So even I do that for myself. I think from the age of, like, I don't know, sixth class, seventh class, I had started doing that. That these are the things I have to do in my day, and at some point I'm just like, so this one technique really helps me, which is 1 2 3 technique. Even when it comes to coming out of bed, like in the morning, I just go like 1 2 and 3, I have to do this. I can't postpone this any longer. So because see, procrastination is one of the things that happens with all of us, and procrastination is also related to fear. It is related to anxiety. You're trying to avoid something, but like it used to happen with our ancestors, that someone is following them and they used to run away and it used to be fine for them. But since our jobs do not go away from us, our relationships do not go away from us, so we can't keep postponing. And this is also related to instant gratification. So when you're postponing and something actually just happens, like I'm postponing the work, and then I do it, and then I have this instant gratification. Okay, I could meet up the deadline. So there's no, then you don't feel that okay, I have to change this pattern. But at some point we have to start changing it, because then the consistency doesn't get, there's no consistency and you keep feeling anxious about things. So see, our mind is working the way it used to work even when our ancestors used to get trapped somewhere. But now we can tell our mind that okay, I have to do it because this work is not going away. How much I avoided, I put it at the side, only the quality will deteriorate. So you have to have that. I think Manvi, everyone will agree, people who talk to themselves, that it is important that you talk to yourself. You have that voice in your head which tells you like, okay, this is time that you get out. This is time that you do this. And you have to have that conversation with yourself, and which is very important. And another thing which really helps is routine. See, at this point, anxiety is because of uncertainty, and routine provides you some sort of certainty that, okay, your body feels that, okay, at 2 p.m., I'm having lunch every day. So we are probably not dying, right? Nothing is going wrong in my life. So I am doing work from 9 to 5. I am studying from this time. So routine helps you keep your mind stable. Having that thing that, okay, my mind is going through things and it is stable. So stability from routine is actually important when you're trying to deal with anxiety, because anxiety is basically about the unanticipated things that can happen. And routine provides you some anticipation that okay, at 2 this person will eat food, at 8:10 this person will sleep. Your body knows there is some predictability when it comes to routine. So try to do, like as Manvi said, that try to have that to-do list, because that also gives you some kind of gratification that okay, I did this. Like me and Manvi had this webinar today, right? Your people joined this webinar, so to-do list for that. So give yourself that and also you can have this. So I was just sharing it with one of my person yesterday, that you can have this thing called gratification, this incentive reward technique. So give yourself reward every time you are able to come do your to-do list. Give yourself reward, and also have this kind of flexibility. So I usually have 5 to 6 things on my to-do list. If I do four of them, I'm pretty much happy with myself. It doesn't have to be that I have to do all of them. Four is good. Like it's like 8 out of 10 for me. So that gives me the leverage to give some kind of snacks to myself because I like snacks. So yeah, do that for yourself.
Okay. Uh, so in case the audience has any question for the speakers, please put it in the chat box, the Zoom chat box right in the bottom half of the screen. We have taken some very important things here from Manvi. We have taken in tough times, encourage connection, then perfection. We'll take 1 minute pause here and wait for any questions. So if you have any questions, please use the Zoom chat box. The questions will be answered directly by the speakers. Okay, so someone asked, would you recommend some books to read in the lockdown period?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. So, firstly, if you could help us in telling that what genre you like to read, and also, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to read books that are out of my genre, just to challenge myself out of my comfort zone. Being a type A personality, of course, most of the techniques that I'm sharing is something that I'm applying on myself too. because it really breaks my heart if I'm not able to uh, of course fulfill my goals. And that also breaks a very big stereotypes around around psychologists, that they don't feel anxiety and they do not have burnouts. Of course we are also as human as everybody else is, and we do have our our meltdown points. But in terms of books, if you could help us in narrowing it down, that what kind of books do you like to read, then I'm sure we'll be able to suggest you a bit more.
Okay, so we have another question. Why is it so difficult to stay put for your to-do list? I always uh, deviate from it. So how should we uh, stay strict to our to-do list that
So
that you suggested?
Hmm.
So one thing what can really help is that, see, when we're not able to stick to our to-do list, it's usually because I have way too unrealistic or high expectations from myself. Okay, so see, right now at this point, it is good if you are able to do some self. So I have some self-care questions. Are you drinking enough water every day? Are you stretching your body? Are you able to have lunch on time? Are you able to sleep on time? Are you able to do all that? So if you're able to do these things for yourself, then you're doing pretty much better than everyone else in this lockdown, honestly. And I think Manvi has to add something.
Yeah, to add on, the one basic thing whenever we are making to-do list is how realistic our goals are.
Right.
And at times they need to be prioritized goals. Sometimes when we actually sit down to make to-do list, we think that we are going to finish off everything in one day's time. So and that can be very overwhelming. So just see how realistic your goals are, and personally I would suggest you that you start off with top 2 to 3 things. Like Prakriti said, that one of the goals need to be a self-care goal, like drinking water. And basic things like that. Let one goal be that okay, I have to eat maybe a wholesome meal or drink water, and other 2 things can be pertaining to your work, or if you are a student, or if you are of course working, or if you're a parent. So those goals need to be very realistic, and start off with just 2 goals. Don't overwhelm yourself. Avoid doing that, otherwise you lose your faith in making to-do list.
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to apologize to the viewers. We will not be able to take all the queries. Some of them are out of realm of this discussion, and some of them are too elaborative to answer, and we have paucity of time. So we'll be moving on to the next phase of our discussion, the main goal of this discussion that was forwarded, and that is, uh, hang on a second. So yes, let's move to the relationship dynamics here, the main goal. So, how are relationship dynamics affected at this time, like in this lockdown period, as the topic suggested?
So yeah. So see, there are different kind of relationship that everyone shares. So there are two kind of relationship that exist as of now. One is that you're living with those people. The other is you're living away from those people, right? There are friends or friends that you're living with, probably roommates that you're living with, or family that you're living with, or the spouse that you're living with. So they will have a different set of issues and different set of problems that you're facing when you're living with them. Then there are people who are away from you, probably your friends who are away from you, from Manvi, like the cases that
Hmm.
living away from family, and
Hmm.
people who are living away from their girlfriend, boyfriend, they miss them. So they will have different kind of situations with all of them. See, when you're living with your family, with your spouse, or with your friends, then the situation is more like how to communicate and have that space, the boundaries with them. One thing which will help you in both the cases is first identify the pattern you share with the relationship, right? For example, see, if you're finding it difficult that your family doesn't talk, really doesn't interact with each other, right? Family members don't really interact with each other. All of them keep aloof and isolated. So first ask yourself, is this something that is happening just because of the lockdown? Because usually the pattern that we will see is that this has always existed. this thing has always existed in your family, that people in your family don't really interact with each other. They just have small talks or have dinner together, and then they're in their rooms and they don't talk. People in your family interact too much and they invade each other's space. So these
Right.
issues have always been there. The issues at this point in the time of lockdown have been amplified, be it any relationship. So it is very important that you identify the pattern which were already existing in your relationship. Even people, like, there was this question query about domestic violence. Domestic violence, we will be sharing some numbers with you so that you can contact people who can help you with that. Even when it comes to domestic violence or any kind of abuse, that abuse hasn't happened for the first time in your family, probably. In the cases that I have been taking, the abuse did not happen for the first time. It has been there. It's just before we could neglect it, now it is just getting out of my hand to neglect it. Because I can't really do away with, because it's just in my face now. I can't do away with it. It is important that you identify the pattern which exists as of now. And then what do you do? So I've written like, so if you're able to identify the pattern, just ask yourself that how much change do I want in this pattern, and how much change can there be, and how much change can I bring from my own part. Like, for example, if your family doesn't talk a lot, probably you can have a communication with them that, see, we have always had this pattern. First, acknowledge that this pattern exists. You can't just go and bombard them that this is just going wrong. You were also a part of this for like 20 years or some years, and now since you're living together and now you're finding it problematic, so it wouldn't come in a day that everyone will change. But you can start acknowledging it that there is something that needs to be changed in that pattern, because see, there's nothing good or bad about any situation. There is a mix of both of them. So when people have enough, like, they are isolated, they're giving you enough space. So there's the plus point that they're giving you enough space to work on yourself, but they're not interacting. So that's a negative point where you want to work. So aim at the solution. And this is something that I would like to communicate with you all, that I think I want you all to have better conversation, have more fruitful conversation. Go to them, try to talk about that, right? And people who are facing this issue that people are invading in their privacy, try to have that kind of boundary that, okay, this is like, I need my me time, my alone time as well. Try to explain it to them that why is it important, right? And and also this fact, when it comes to people who are living away from you, for many of us this is the case, that people are living away from you. So one of my patients, she has shared this thing with me that my boyfriend, so she shared about her boyfriend, that my boyfriend doesn't really like talk to me even when the lockdown issue is going on. Like, he has plenty of time, he could have talked to me. Like, there's so much time on my hand, why is he not talking to me? I asked her, like, so I will just give a pseudonym Gina. So I asked Gina that, Gina, is it the first time that you're facing this issue? So Gina said, no, that, like, this issue has been there from probably February. This issue has been there, that I feel disconnected with him. He doesn't give me that much time. He doesn't prioritize me. So Gina, this has been the issue with you in your relationship for such a long time. But now, since you have a lot of time and there is no no distraction that he can't quit, he's just getting on your nerve. This is something that you have always been feeling, and now this is just in front of you and you don't know how to deal with it. So probably this is the time that you can start having a conversation with him, that how much time do you want to spend with him, and how much time do you want to connect every day. And for the first week of lockdown, it was like we used to connect every day, friends even with whom I will not talk every day. But then you really go back to how you were. There are friends that you will talk to every day, there are friends that you will not talk to every day, and that is how it is. So you need to see that how much the pattern has actually changed for you. is it them? Because there are people, like there was another case that this a guy whose girlfriend used to talk to him for 32 an hour every day before the lockdown, and he used to be pretty much fine with that. But now she does the same, and now he's having this issue like she doesn't really give me time. But if we really assess the issue, it's not about she not giving me time. Probably on 1 or 2 days she might give more time. It is more of an issue that I am not, for him it's more of an issue that I am not able to spend time with him. I'm not able to spend time with him because I'm so busy with my work. And I think that's more, understand that one thing that one person is common in all these relationship is you yourself. I think Manvi would be better able to tell on these lines.
Yes, we have received a lot of queries regarding self-doubt and spending time alone and self-esteem. So maybe Manvi would like to address them.
Yeah. Yes. So I think, as rightly said by Prakriti, that there are patterns that are always there, which we also term them as red flags. That you always see them. It's just that right now we are not just not used to spending or being with our own selves so much that it is becoming so uncomfortable to bear your own self in the beginning. And at least I'm speaking on behalf of people who live alone, and for others I'm sure there is not enough space and that me time is somewhere lacking. So what I am about to cover is pertaining to individuals who are also living alone and who are living all by themselves without anybody being around. So of course that offers a little bit more space, but this is something which anybody, and I think like so the sessions that I take with the employees at my organization, uh, since teachers are also there, so there's, I'll just share this thing that we had a session on something called mental toughness with the whole like he was sharing that okay, the issues that they are facing every day. And there are these two teachers who are married to each other, and they share that we have two kids, we are living in a 1 BHK, and at four different corners we are sitting with our laptops, with our earphones, and maybe when the father is taking a class, the daughter is attending another class over there. So is that it gets so difficult. What do you do in such a situation? And trust me, I felt very helpless about it. And one thing that I personally wrote to him later on, that I may not have a solution to your problem, and maybe nobody would have a solution to your problem, but I'm just so happy for the fact that you spoke about it. So if when in the organization when you talk about it, at least the heads would know what that man is going through, and there needs to be certain flexibility that he can be provided with, or the school can provide him with at least some or the other connection. So what I was planning to cover is that there's this thing called, so I started doing it at my place. So there are certain spaces. So I realized that one of the day I was literally having a burnout when back to back I was working. I had my training. So as a trainee also I was attending a session, and one was that I had to take a session with my clients, and the same day I had a session with my senior psychologist. So it was a complete burnout, and I was only sitting at one particular spot of my house, which is the so-called spot where I get the good connection, and it's a very comfortable spot. So I just realized that I started hating that area for towards the end of the day, and I just wanted to get away from this. Unfortunately, nobody can go out for a run. That used to be my way of channelizing my energy or my pent up, maybe frustration, because I was nearly feeling frustrated. So I just opened my balcony and I sat there, and I sat there for good 2 hours. And I just realized that, okay, I have not really explored this space in my house at all. So even with in your own spaces, in your own houses, try to reclaim the spaces on your own. Try to have different spots. Let there be one space which is your workspace, where you sit, where you work, and the moment you are done with your work, please get up from there, leave that spot and go to another spot where you're Netflixing, or you're reading a book, or you're talking to your parents, talking to your friends, or just maybe like a morning tea or an evening tea. So I think there are a lot of spaces around you. Even if you are living in a space crunch, there can be different spots that you can reclaim, and if you start reclaiming them and making your own spot, it will be very helpful psychologically. So I have my happy spot that I used to call, that I actually call. So I just took things out. I wish I could show it to you, but the light is not really good. So I just took out the things that I have from my happy spot, that whenever I'm having, maybe my existential crisis, or whenever I'm feeling really low. So this is one thing which comes when, if you are a psychologist, existential crisis is your companion. So you're nodding your
I
head.
second that.
So yeah, existential crisis never leaves. So I won't say I'm alone. It's there with me all the time. So there's this spot that I have kept for myself, which is just to make myself feel a bit more motivated and a bit more loved, a bit more inspired by my own self. So one is, of course, it has to be a Harry Potter book. So I just got this. I'm a hardcore Potterhead.
Yeah, we all know that.
And I feel coronavirus, and I feel coronavirus is no less than a dementor. So watch out for that. And these are the two paintings that I got from.
Beautiful.
These are the paintings that my two of my students had given me when I was leaving my school, when I was shifting from Delhi to Pune. So this is like just like a little reminder that, okay, I have done some good work. So if I, even if I'm not feeling that productive, it's fine. And it's also so this is this very small sticky note that my friend had pasted, that you are my happy place. So I was like, oh, that's sweet. So this is, I'll share, just take like 30 seconds to share this. So explicitly remember this boy giving this to me, and he shared. So this, you see this woman with weird hair, that's you. So whenever you are feeling really lost, or you feel that you just don't know how to go about with things, just remember this is you, and it will help you in sailing through the sea, because the
Oh,
sea is huge and so are your opportunities. And I just texted him when I saw that the other day. I woke up and I told him that, you are, did you see it coming somehow? So he just said that I have been your OG student, so I got to be different. So these are little things. And of course, my coffee mug, in which I drink tea. So these are my happy, these are certain components that I use in my calming space, my happy space, and it really helps. And of thing, like a little can be a source of motivation, and you need not just go and start writing. If you want to do that, go ahead with that. But it's just that to when you are in self doubt. So I think it might cater to one of the questions that somebody asked in the chat. When you are in self doubt, of course we are all actually going through that rush of self doubt, self isolation, and sometimes we do question if this is what is this what makes me feel happy. But just to sum up, it's just that we are all here in together, and I'm sure that we all are trying to ride the tide, and we will be able to sail through. So these are two techniques that I have been using, one of them being reclaiming places in my house and having like a calming space or a space. If you like cookies, just keep a jar of cookies and grab one. It really helps you calm down. And I was just when I kept reading about it, and when I got to know that there's a webinar happening, and whenever these sessions are they've been taking place over a month and a half, I just burdened myself a lot, that no, I need to come up with like some technique by my own. And that's when I realized that it's the smallest of things that can actually make a lot of difference. So smallest of things in your from your side to yourself, because you owe a lot to yourself. The mere fact that you are actually sailing through this tide, you need to be really proud of yourself. And if you've joined this webinar, that just shows that you care a lot about yourself. So these are the two techniques that I wanted to share. And Shubham, would you like to share any technique?
so, would you like to take up some questions from the audience?
Yeah,
He's
so
ready for
I
that.
went, so I think I went through one of the question, and it was about feeling the self isolation and going through it. So
Yes.
one thing that one can do really is that, see, first of all, understand how you are reacting to this. Self awareness is very important. Like, I know how I react to this time. For example, when it comes to relationship, just know that how you are as a person. Like, am I as a person, will I reach out to people, will I call them, text them, will I ask for help? And see, there are things that it might really be difficult for an individual to deal with them on their own, and it is okay to ask for help. ask for assistance. So I don't like the word help a lot. I like the word assistance. That I'll assist you, facilitate that growth with you. So you can connect to me, Manvi, Antakaran, that you need any kind of assistance, right? So, and it is okay to ask for assistance. And at this point, if you're able to realize and become aware that you need some kind of assistance and you're able to put your finger on what is really affecting you, that you're feeling isolated. Like one of the person shared that he's feeling this issue with, that he wanted to go abroad and study. See, you wanted to go abroad and would have, right? It's just matter of 3 or 4 months. Probably it is the time that you start working on yourself. And you can, because let me tell you, when you go abroad, everything there shuts at 9 p.m. and you will have a lot of time to yourself. And try to also go back to a place in your life where you have gone through this time. For example, when I was in college, we used to have 3 months holiday, right? And it was summer, so I was pretty much going through this time a lot. I have 3 months of holiday that I have to stay at home. I used to do things. So try to go back to those spaces, like when you used to have exams in college. So you have that 10 or 20 days that you have to stay alone with yourself. So you have done it before. Yeah,
Yes.
now the stakes are different, but you have done it before and you have sailed through it. You have survived through it. So you can do it again as well. Just understand yourself and be with yourself. Don't be harsh on yourself. And if you need assistance, reach out. There's nothing wrong. And especially right now, mental health, if you're having issues with self-doubt or sleeping patterns, see, your parents might not be having issue with sleep because they never had that issue. So the issues that we are having at this point were the issues that used to trouble us before as well. And this is the time probably we can utilize to work on them, right? So take up this time and let's try to find ourselves, that what works for me. Like for me, music works, painting works, exercise works, talking to a friend works. So for Manvi, as she shared, different things work. For Shubham, different things will work. So try to figure out what works for you. And over to Manvi.
There's a Shubham. There was one question in the chat that
Yes.
talks about how to balance studies, and when parents
Yes,
get
that was
upset
the
that
next
you are
question I
not.
was going to pick up.
Yeah, I
Balancing
just
study
read
and
that
family.
while Prakriti was catering to that question.
Yes.
So, of course, this is one thing, because not every time when you are on your phone, you are actually chatting with somebody. You could be genuinely doing your work. There's a strategy that you can do. It's not a way to make it up for the time that you're spending, because of course you are required to study. So this is something that a client of mine has been doing, because he's staying away from his family, and one of them is staying in a joint family, and he says that I don't get, so both of them have very different separate issues. So for those who are staying living with their family, let there be like a day where you are deciding the menu, and you perhaps maybe cook something that your parents like. So try to establish that, because when you're busy doing things, and even if you make a cup of tea, they would be more than happy, because it's
Right.
actually the intention that matters more than the product, that that you've been thinking about them. And at times we might have to make conscious effort to do that, because when you are studying, they're also providing you with your basic necessity. And here everybody, and there's one thing which the good part, the silver lining in the sky, that there are multiple silver linings in the sky, however. But one thing that I'm really liking is that everybody is at a flat and at a same hierarchy phase, because everybody is doing the same amount of work. If you are at home, even if there's an eldest person or the youngest person, of course, with due respect to everyone's physical energy, and how much they can do, but everyone is trying to work, everyone is trying to clean whatever they can, they're
Right.
trying to cook, or if somebody is not cooking, they're at least cleaning. So try to balance that bit out, and just maybe try preparing like an evening snack for them, and sit with them, and tell them, if you get burnout with your work, sit with them and talk to them about it. Trust me, you can have an
Right.
hour where you're talking about it, or you can have an hour when you are just maybe just talking about other things that you like, or pick out the old albums, and there are so many beautiful things that you can do. Those are the beautiful things that you can definitely do in to maybe foster more connection with your family. Yeah.
Right. Let's take one more question. It's a very common theme that I've been observing in the forms here, and it is about the feeling of when you feel worthless. Your friends doing something which you are not. So uh, how to come out of this feeling of worthlessness that you feel in the lockdown, that you are maybe not doing as much as you could, because obviously it's not the lack of time that we had; it's the lack of discipline after all. So how to come out of that feeling?
I have, so I would just like to tell one thing that the only way we get to know about things is on social media. So it's a must for I think everyone, and we really need to do that. So for adults, I tell them please take breaks from your WhatsApp and your news channel because information overload can really take over your mind. For for generation like us, young adults and teenagers, I think taking social media break is very essential. Whatever social media shows is not the reality, and trust me, if you feel that you are not doing so much for your career, it is actually a good realization if you think about it. And in case if you feel whatever you're doing is not something that is as per your interest level, it's the right time to realize what you like doing. So of course there can be people who might be having a lot of active working hours, and you might be feeling that you're lagging behind, but everyone's work hours are different. So if you feel that you are in the wrong field or there's something more that you have to do, start exploring. And since you're talking about, I think it's the same question where this individual has mentioned that he or she was planning to go abroad for higher studies. I think
Yes.
that's the same query, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So don't worry about it. You know what? I'll tell you one thing. I know a couple of people who are already there and they are not satisfied, because you should be glad you'll have more time, because when you would be going, you would actually have face to face interaction. A lot of students who've gone right now, they've paid a bomb and they're having online classes. So try reconnecting with the counselors, with the universities again. Just see if your admissions can be carried forward again, and try to know more about your maybe interest. If you think that the course that you've applied for is something that you would not want to do, explore more. It's a very good thing that you can explore other aspects.
Adding to that, so one thing that see, it also caters to this issue that we all many people have of comparing oneself with the other. See, me and Manvi, both of us are speaking, and both of us are bringing different things on the table. So that is the power of an individual. So what you will bring to the table, maybe someone else will not bring to the table, and that is who you are. Like it caters to your individual power. So you can't let that happen. Like someone just something that happens in your life, and it can really like change your life. And what is meant for you will happen. Like if you're working for it, and it will happen to you. It might take some time, you might take some time to go to it, but it will happen to you. So just keep on sailing. Like I don't know how many of you have watched Nemo. It is more like keep swimming, keep swimming, keep swimming. And once you keep swimming, so for us it's like keep breathing, keep breathing, keep breathing. And also this judgment that someone else is doing better than me comes when you're just trying to like look at them from like surface, superficially looking at them. If we actually talk to them, we will know what the other person is facing or what the other person is going through, because there is no one who doesn't have any kind of issue at this point. Me and Manvi, a psychologist, we are sharing that we go through burnouts, because especially like right now, because we have to take a lot of sessions, so burnout is one thing that we are facing, right? And we have existential crisis. So it's not that we will not face anything, and it will never be like you will not face anything. And even in therapy, it's not that you are not facing anything, or we are telling you not to face something, or sadness will never come to you, you will never feel lonely. No, it's basically about how well you cope with them when you deal with it the next time. The coping is the bit that where we work with. And the things that we are sharing are also the ways we have coped with things, or our patients are coping with things, and it has worked with them. So try to find what works for you. And if you need more assistance, contact us, contact Antahkaran. There are many free counseling services available at this point. So reach out to them if you're feeling that it is not being contained by your own self, then reach out. There's nothing, no harm in reaching out as well, right?
Okay, so thank you. We have discussed a lot of things today. We have discussed about anxiety and stress. We have discussed about how we are the center of relationships. We have discussed about the changing dynamics in this lockdown, how it is affecting our relationships with each other. And we are very thankful that this whole conversation has been so fruitful for the audience and for us as well. So, Antahkarana Group is very fortunate to have Prakriti and Manvi as a part of our team. It was very calming and at the same time informative to listen to them today. I would like to thank both of you on the behalf of Antahkarana Group. I would also like to thank the participants who joined us today. It was our first webinar, and we are happy to have such a good audience base. We hope to organize such webinars more in the future, and we will keep updated regarding them. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Prakriti. Thank you, Manvi, for joining. It was a really fruitful session.
Thank you. We loved the session as
Yeah,
well. Thank you for
thank you
all
so
the
much.
questions.
All right. So thank you very much, audience. You are all free to leave. Thank you. Bye.
And you can reach out to us.
Yes, we'll be sharing the information of both of the speakers soon on the group. So please do not leave the WhatsApp group. Thank you.